As the mayor really pointed out last election, please get out and vote. Voter turnout was extremely high, and I'd like to say that's because of the mayor pushing everybody, not that it was a big election, but because the mayor kept pushing that point. But redistricting is extremely important to the citizens of Topeka and the city as a whole, and as we move forward. So, again, they meet September 1st. If you have input, please provide that, and then they present a final product to the governing body on September 30th.
Thank you. I appreciate the update. You know, it's important, and you hear me say over and over, if you have questions, if you want to find out about things that are happening in the city, contact your district representative, your council rep, because that's your elected representative. And you can reach out and contact them pretty easily, and that's what they're there for. And they know that, and that's why they ran for that office. So utilize them. They are your advocate for those things that you have of interest. So I appreciate that we're talking about that redistricting, because it could have changed, and there are a lot of things that come to mind after the fact. Try and get ahead of it and talk to your council representatives. One other thing I want to just kind of brief update, if we could, from Mr. Wade. We know that the budget process is in place. We've had several presentations during council meetings. If you can kind of give us an idea of what's next for as we approach that new process that we're using.
So our next council meeting, September 6th, there'll be a public hearing for public comment on the budget and some additional consideration by the governing body at that point in time. I'm sure there'll be some discussion back and forth. Mr. Mayor, we hope we have a vote on the 13th of September. And assuming that we get approval on that one, we'll submit it on to the county for finalization.
Okay, thank you. I might also mention, before I forget, that we were able to visit with Ralph Hipp as he gets ready for his retirement, and got to visit with him and congratulate him for his, I think it was over 30 years of service at WIBW. He and I go way back as well. I've been through a number of campaigns, and I've always had the opportunity to visit with Ralph about those campaigns, but he has been a real trademark of our local news media, along with Channel 27 as well. But Ralph, when they first started that Red Couch thing, he wasn't really sure it was going to take off, but then it did, and a lot of people really enjoyed the opportunity to have that short time to visit with him and present their opportunities that are happening for events and issues in the city. So our congratulations to Ralph. I can't remember when his last broadcast is, but it's coming up pretty quickly.
September 6th.
The weatherman says September 6th. So second. Okay. See, just like the weatherman, he changed it. Partly sunny, cloudy, but now it's okay. September the 2nd. But yeah, our congratulations to him because he has done an excellent job serving the community and keeping our local news local, as does Channel 27 as well. You can get a lot of feeds anymore from streaming and everything, but it's nice to hear what's going on locally. So our congratulations to him. I would like to also invite you, when you have an opportunity, to take a couple doors down and stop and visit in my office. I continue with the Mayor's Art Initiative. We had some pieces up for about, I think, 45 days or so. But Arts Connect and Gallery 785 have really done an excellent job in bringing in new pieces from local artists. And that was my whole intent, is to highlight the skills and abilities of our local arts community, because they are large and thriving and very, very good. So I want people to appreciate what we have in our community as talent. And so if you get an opportunity, take some time to look at it. I know Gretchen has been very good at getting it, pushing it out there on social media. I looked at some of the pictures the other day that you took. You did a good job, excellent job. Thank you, Gretchen, I appreciate it. But that's, for me, the last thing that I have that I wanted to speak directly to. City manager, is there something that I didn't cover that you might want to cover?
That I'd like to cover, I'd like to put out, if you're looking for a job, the city of Topeka has a lot of openings still. All kinds of skill sets, so you may think, well, what can I do for the city of Topeka? Or what can the city of Topeka do for me? We got great jobs, great opportunities, great benefit package. So you can go online and look at all the openings and just kind of cruise through there and see, and something sparks your interest, please apply. And you never know, we got a lot, like I said, a lot of opportunities. It's a great place to work. City of Topeka's, as the mayor said, you know, it's kind of an honor, I think, to work for the city of Topeka. And I've worked for the city of Topeka for a long time, and so I encourage you to apply. Lots of openings, so.
Thank you. Mr. Wade, anything?
No, sir.
Okay, that's all we have, so are there any questions from the group?
I got a question about, back to the city manager thing. You mentioned there's still 4 candidates in the running for it,
Yes, sir, we got 4 candidates in the final process.
and the timing is still the same. You mentioned August 30th. That hasn't changed.
Correct. August 30th, there'll be interviews. The governing body will meet, and then they have to go into an executive session. Then they'll start the interview process. Then the candidates, they'll be going on at the same time. The community interview panel and the governing body panel interviews, and candidates will swap and rotate. And we will be providing them a tour of the city of Topeka, so they get a chance to look around and see that. And then the public comment starts at 5:30, I believe.
Any time as to when they might start, like first day for the new candidate?
Well, that will depend upon the candidate. Candidates in this process at this level, a lot of them have agreements with the city where they're at currently, and some of them may have like a 2-month window that they have to provide and stuff like that. So the start date is very arbitrary at this point, depending on the candidate.
I know that the road assessed services is in town surveying the roads. Can you tell me a little bit about when the company began, how long the project will take, and what the hopes are to get out of the project?
Yeah, the project began about a week ago, and it's assessing all the roads, and this time we're also assessing the alleys in the city of Topeka. And so it's one of those things that, you know, people say, well, I can drive around and take a look and see which roads need replaced. Well, that's an easy thing to say, but what this does, it gives you an in-depth report as to the status of the roadway, the longevity that's left in that roadway, what, you know, immediate steps can be taken to replace it, or what steps need to be taken to fix it. So the process will take about 3 to 4 weeks to get through all the streets and alleys of the city of Topeka. And it's one of those things that we do about every 3 years, but this is the first year that we are assessing alleys as well. And so it's one of those things that'll give us a tool, so when we start looking into the future road projects, where we want to direct our attention, it'll really give us some very valuable information as to how we can move forward.
This may not be in your guys' wheelhouse, but KDOT, of course, the whole Quincy Viaduct, big project around here. We're hearing there's a couple businesses that, I don't know where this, aren't as motivated to get out of their buildings, I guess, on time. Any updates on that, or that you know?
Yeah, KDOT is in charge of that project, and as you know, they have the process in which they're trying to acquire the properties, and they will acquire those properties at the end of the day. And so they're in negotiations to a fair market price as to what those properties are worth. But, you know, at some point that will come to an end, and they'll have the properties. And so that's what's going on right now, is the fair market price discussion of what that's worth. Because those businesses and property owners have to relocate. And, you know, when we think of some of those, a very valuable partner we have, for example, is Harvesters. Harvesters has very specific needs and special needs, and so looking for a different piece of property that can meet their needs, whether they have to build or whether they can rehab a building, is extremely important. We want to keep those community partners in the city of Topeka, so we as the city are trying to help those businesses locate other facilities as well. So we're not in the negotiation part, but we're in the part of, hey, we want to keep you in the city of Topeka. And so, you know, like harvesters would be a priority that we're trying to keep in the city of Topeka.
And so lastly, on the Polk Quincy kind of deal, you see signs where you're coming in to town, like 470 bypass, it's closed. Or, you know, avoid the area, that kind of stuff. When that happens, of course, there's a lot of traffic coming through alternate routes, probably just right downtown. Any plans to kind of work around that? You just
The fortunate thing for us is the closure of eastbound or westbound traffic is only supposed to last about 3 weeks, and so there is a detour set up. It is an inconvenience, you know, because it's main thoroughfare, right? But the alternate routes are working very well. There's 470, there's also the Oakland Expressway, and then, you know, the detour through the city of Topeka, where you get off at 8th Street exit, you go up to 6th Street, you know, Topeka Boulevard, down to 1st Street, and then back onto the highway. So it's a pretty easy detour. It just does get congested when you start, and, you know, do get bigger tractor trailers and stuff like that that use that route. Hopes are they use the 470 route. But the fortunate thing for us, like I said, 3 weeks, I think we're already almost a week into it. And so then when that gets reopened, you know, we'll have one lane each way. So we're very excited about that, and we're excited about the progress in which the project's going.
And then one last thing on that, do you think KDOT will have any plans to kind of close the viaduct to any of those semi-trucks?
The conversations that we've had with KDOT, and we have them very often, there are no plans to stop truck traffic on I-70 at this point, what we've been told, which is good news.
Speaking of the Polk Quincy Viaduct, can you give me a little update on how the progress is, expectations of when it will be completed, stuff like that?
The overall project itself, once they get the repairs done and then they get the land acquisition completed, there is supposed to be some demolition of some properties starting to take place at the end of August. Utility work will then start after the first of the year. Major relocation of utilities, it's extremely important. Then the actual project will begin in 25, I believe, and then it's expected to take about 2 years.
One last question. Where does the abandoned project of Connect 55 stand today?
Well, it's not an abandoned project. They're actually working on it. They have work crews on ground as we speak. It's a small crew. They had ran into some financial situations because the price of products had gone up, and so they found themselves in a gap in which they needed to get financing. We've been told that they have obtained that financing. On Wednesday, there is a walkthrough with city staff and inspectors with the construction site manager. And then in a couple of weeks, we plan a hard hat tour for the governing body so they can get a first-hand look at where that project is at. That's an extremely important project for the city of Topeka. That's going to be a great thing once that gets fully operational and going. And they have a target end date of being completed. And I can get that for you here after this. But it's a project that they're dedicated to. They have a small workforce crew on ground right now. They've had materials delivered, and so within the next couple of weeks, they really plan on getting that project moving.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Have a good day.